Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 246, Another Plan. We all make plans. You ask a little kid, what are you going to be when you grow up? And a little boy might say, I'm going to be a fireman, or I'm going to be a superhero, or I'm going to be a doctor. You'll hear a little girl say, I'm going to be a ballerina, I'm going to be a teacher, I'm going to be a mommy, I'm going to be a nurse. When you talk to a teenager about what they think they're going to be and what their future dreams and plans are, you might hear something entirely different than what you heard when they were little. Some kids get it in their mind what they're going to be and they don't change it. So they don't have another plan, they just have one bound and determined plan. I wonder how many times we've heard about people who planned on being in the Olympics and they devoted much of their life to developing their skills as a gymnast, as an ice skater, as a runner, as a skier, as a swimmer. And yet we all understand that very, very few people in each country get to go to the Olympics. Sometimes there's a severe injury. They're not quite good enough or fast enough or strong enough. And so though they've worked on something for 10 or 15 years, they are not selected. They do not finish well enough. They do not get to go, and their plans are thwarted. I knew a young lady in nursing school when I was there, and she was in an accident and she was not able to finish. It was very disturbing to her. I mean, really, really got to her because she'd wanted to be a nurse for a long time. She was finally at the point where her children were old enough and she was able to get into school, and then her plans changed. She wasn't able to do it. I also knew a young woman who came from another country and she was brilliant. She did great, but she couldn't quite grasp the concepts in the NCLEX examination. She took it 3 times, but she could not pass. To my knowledge, she never was able to work in the United States as a nurse. I've known guys and women, frankly, in med school because I've worked in teaching hospitals that didn't get through, couldn't get through their residency, couldn't get through their internship, ended up for various reasons getting out. They couldn't do it. Of course, there are young people who plan on going to college and who have a scholarship and who have all these great ideas, and either their girlfriend gets pregnant or the young woman gets pregnant, and everything in the whole world just changed. Often in our lives, there is another plan, not one we would have desired or even tried to have happen to us, and yet it does. I often think of Johnny Erickson as a young woman when she was a great athlete, she had a wonderful life, and she went swimming with her friends and she dove into a lake and she became a quadriplegic on that day. There was another plan. Occasionally I'll see a movie and it'll talk about someone who had all these great plans for their life and something happened and they don't know what to do. They're floundering. And I think that near to the event that might happen to us, we will flounder for a while. We can't figure out what to do or how to do it. When we were headed down this road and suddenly we hit this roadblock, and sometimes it's a whole lot more than a roadblock, it's a complete brick wall, and it alters everything about the course of our life. And what in the world are we supposed to do? And we can't get it straight in our minds. We can't get it squared away in our spirits. Yeah, we really, really struggle and wrestle with what in the world am I supposed to do now? What is my life going to be like now? The reason I'm addressing this with you is because the underlying principle of life is that we should make plans and we should work hard toward a goal. It really is a part of our existence that we have big dreams and we do what we can to make those come into fruition. It is also another part of life that things happen, unforeseen things, difficulties, challenges, problems, accidents. You call it what you want to call it, but that there are unforeseen circumstances that come to us all in varying degrees, whether it's just a little bitty thing or a huge life altering thing. And we have to be flexible enough to change our plans. We have to cope with what really happened and the sorrow that we feel, We need to own up to our own emotions and process them. I feel really sad about this. I feel really angry about this. I am so frustrated right now. And yet, I can't change it. No matter how hard I try, I can't change what happened. I have to deal with what happened. And oftentimes, if we don't effectively resolve the things that happened, we struggle to find a new plan, or we never really quite get to a different dream or a different vision of our life that's going to be successful and happy. You'll talk to people, and I certainly do, in their 40s and 50s, somewhere something changed for them and they never got past it. They're bitter, they're angry, they're still frustrated. I got a rough deal. This wasn't fair. It wasn't right. Let me acknowledge to you, a lot of the tragedies and horrid circumstances that happen, they are not fair. They may not seem right to us. I really want to admit that to you. And yet, still, we have to handle them. We need to deal with them in a productive way. If we don't, we will never move on as successfully as we might have if we had the courage and the support and the strength to deal with it. So you need to lay down this principle in your kids' lives. Sometimes there are unforeseen things which you have no control over, and you have to learn how to accept it and handle it and move on. Let me put this in real terms for you. So you have a kid. He's 5 or 6. He's an amazing runner, and he's looking forward to this big race. And he falls and he hurts his ankle. It's not broken. It's not going to be permanent or do horrible damage, but he sprains his ankle severely enough he can't run this race. Right there, those are the seeds of helping your child understand there is an opportunity here because there is another plan. You are not going to run in this race. There will be other races. Next year you might get to do this, but right now there is another plan. You can go to this race and cheer on your friends. That takes a pretty big person. Even as little children, some kids are a big enough person to do that, and some really aren't. So it would just be tormentuous. You do have to know your child and have a conversation with them so that you know which one of those courses is better for them. You need to be able to say, I know you're angry. I understand you're frustrated. I get that you are very disappointed. And you may verbalize all of those things if they're a person who processes verbally. Or you may acknowledge those things in the quiet of your own heart, and you may express them in various ways. Yeah, you can't beat somebody up, and you can't break stuff, and you can't yell and cuss, but you're very welcome to process those things because you need to do that. But at the end of the day, within a period of time, however long that might be, and it's not the same for everyone, 3 or 4 days or a couple of weeks, we're going to process through your emotions, and you're going to get to the place where you accept that I'm not going to be able to run in this race. This happened to me. It was no one's fault. It was just something which happened, and I have another plan. The next race, I will be able to run. Next year, I'll be able to do this. But right now, there is, in fact, another plan. So you have a teenager, and she's been doing rehearsals for a long time to be in this play. She knows all of her lines. She's so excited. Her costumes are ready. I mean, she is ready. And 2 nights before the performance, she gets bronchitis that leads to laryngitis, and she can't even speak. And the understudy gets to play the lead role while she is home in bed. Oh my goodness sakes. Let's talk about a lot of emotion, because all this work and all this preparation went into it, and now it's never going to happen. Not anyone's fault. But still, the reality is she's going to need to process being angry and frustrated and disappointed, maybe even jealous. This person who wasn't nearly as good for the role is actually going to get to do it and hear the applause and feel that sense of joy at a great performance or even a kind of okay performance if she wasn't as well prepared as she should have been. Yeah, there's a lot to process. And yet, there is another plan. Next time, you can do this. Or you could get involved in community theater since it didn't happen in school and now they know her better than they know you. And I'm just telling you, kids need to get this principle down because it happens over and over and over and over. And our challenge as adults is that sometimes we haven't learned this principle. We haven't learned to cope with it well. We haven't learned how to effectively deal with and process our emotional responses to what really did happen. Don't go in denial like, "Oh, it's not that bad and I can No, 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 feel the emotion. Say them, say the emotions. Handle the emotions. Go through the emotions. Process what really did happen. And it was the pits. And then look for another plan." This is such a critical principle. My challenge question for you today is, how are you at doing another plan? How do you handle everything that went wrong that led to not being able to fulfill your plan, your idea, your dream? Do you process the emotions? Do you get support? Have you developed a certain amount of inner strength so that in a period of time after you've gone through this full acceptance and reality, this plan isn't going to happen, that you can then find a new path and a new plan? It's a really crucial part of life. Sometimes you're far past plan B and C. You're already on to plan D or E. And do you know what? That is perfectly okay. Oftentimes, plan A just doesn't work out. I want to tell you today, sometimes plan D or E is in fact a perfectly good plan. I hope this has been encouraging and helpful for you today. I will look forward to seeing you again very soon. Paint a beautiful picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.